Ensuite. Now the tiling's been finished. Unfortunately I didn't get any footage of that. The tiling wasn't up to me, but now we're back. We can move on with finishing it off, starting with the toilet. So we're going to be reusing the toilet that used to be here. So I'll go through installing that and then we'll come back and we'll do the shower screen, the mirror, the tap and the sink, and I think that'll be it. So come along and we'll get cracking on the toilet. Alright, so we've got our cistern here. Now that rubber donut seals against the toilet, and these two threads just go through the holes in the toilet, and we do it up with the wing nuts. So that's where your bolts go through, tighten it up through these two. Rubber donut sits here and puts water into the toilet. And this is where the braided hose comes out, depends which side your mini stopper's on. So we want to clean up this surface, clean up the rubber donut for a good seal, clean up in here. That's where all the sewage leaves the house. So there's a bit of wiggle room in this black section here, you know, left, right, up and down. And that seats over the trap inbuilt into the toilet. So we need to clean that up. Clean this up so that we can silicone it just to be doubly safe. And then we put silicone on the bottom of the toilet and sit it in position. Alright, the toilet's in. You just glue it to the floor, do your wing nuts up like I said, and cork it up. If you don't know how to cork, I've been over it in a previous video. I'll put a link to that. Now we're moving on to the sink and the tap. So I've got a masonry hole saw here, and I'll probably just cut this out with an angle grinder. That'll get hidden by the sink. So we'll cut our holes for our plumbing and install the sink and the tap. Alright, we've got our mixer here. So in the kit we have this O-ring and collar. They are two pieces, so you just put them together. The O-ring goes in the groove, and this lip here fits pretty snug around the base of the mixer. So then these will thread through the bench, and then we use this locking collar to tighten it all down. We thread our collar in, Now these only have to be finger tight because you can't get to them with a tool. So just wind it in by hand as tight as you can. Alright, so I don't have enough cover plates to cover the plaster back there. Not that you're ever really going to see it, but you know, I like to do little things where I can. And it's also a good idea, you shouldn't really connect the water unless the waste is also connected. But I got to go buy the right plug for the sink. So this is probably where we're going to have to leave it for today, and we'll come back tomorrow and finish off the rest of the bathroom. Alright, we're back at it with the right gear now. We need to put the plug into the sink. So that's just an adapter. That's our locking collar, and then we've got two rubber gaskets. So one stays on top, one goes underneath. Now it's important to get the right plug for the right sink. If you don't have an overflow in the sink, then you don't need a plug with an overflow inlet. So this is just sitting here. Drop that in from above. And then we put our rubber gasket on first, and then our locking collar on, and tighten it up. Don't forget your Teflon tape. Now when you wind this on, you want to make sure you're winding it up in the same direction that you're going to spin the mini stop on. That way as you do it up, you won't undo the tape. Alright, the water's back on. First thing you want to do is just dry up any water that might have been left behind from when we undid the tap. So that now that we know that this is dry, if it does become wet, we know it's leaking. Alright, the same concept applies to our mini stops for the sink. The best way to make sure that the tap is centered over the plug is to just turn the tap on. And we can see there that the water falls and hits the center line on the plug, so everything's good. We don't have to jiggle the sink around, we can just let the sink, the silicone under the sink set, and move on with connecting the waste. Alright, to connect our sink waste up, we've got this adapter that came with the plug. So that's just going to screw on hard up. Now this is the first section of the trap. That sits in there nice. We need to put the rubber seal around this. Alright, that's our rubber seal on. So as you can see, when we offer that up to there, that's going to seal. So we can do that collar up. Alright, now that's on. That's snug but not tight. We want a bit of wiggle room while we line things up. Now the next piece to go on is this elbow, and that too needs a rubber seal. Alright, rubber seal is on. This here, we'll put our pipe in, will come out and up and meet the trap. And then we screw this collar on over the pipe. Alright, I'm just test fitting these pipes. Now this piece in here into the elbow is as short as it can be. You need to slip this locking collar over and then enough into the pipe, and then you do this up. Now to get that lined up, because this is as short as it can be, we've got to twist the whole trap backwards, and that'll give us more depth. As much as we want it to be, you know, up and down and in a vertical line like that, this will be too long and it won't line up with this, so we've kind of forced our hand a bit, but at the end of the day, if it works, then it'll do. You hardly see this anyway. Alright, that's everything cut in. There's no glue or washers in there yet, but now that we know it fits, we will glue it up. Alright, now to test the waste pipes, we want to fill the sink up and then release the plug and put the pipes under the most load as possible. And that way, if it doesn't leak when it's under the most load, then it won't ever leak. Alright, bone dry, happy days. Now the last thing I like to do when I've finished doing a sink is pull the filter out from the nozzle. Now sometimes in the demolition phase or the installation phase, you get things stuck in the pipes, you know, sawdust or insulation or Teflon tape. And if that builds up on the back side of this filter, it'll block the tap, or at least it'll definitely slow it down. So if the water's running a lot slower than what you think it should be, just pull this out. Now, most new taps will come with a tool to tighten these up and undo them, so make sure you check that. And if that's all clear, then you could move on to the next part. Alright, we've just drilled the holes for the plugs to hold the mirror up. Now you want to use these. Let me see if I can get that to work. These are the drill bits you want to use. Now to get the most out of these, you want to go slow, spray them with water or run them under the tap at regular intervals just to keep them cold. Heat will destroy these things. But these are good for drilling through tiles, apparently glass as well. I've never used them through glass, but definitely for tiles. So that's the packet they come in. 5mm for a red plug, 6mm for a green plug. So these are our green plugs here. We'll just tap these into the holes we just drilled, and then we can screw into these plugs, and that's what's going to hang the mirror. It'll just sit on the screws. Now you're going to be careful using a hammer. You don't want to tap them in too far and crack a tile. You can use a nail punch or just something soft or accurate to tap it home that last few millimeters. So anyway, you can use the base of your hammer. And now we're ready to put the screws in. This is the back of the mirror, so what we want is the screws to sit in these gaps, and then we can slide the mirror over these screws. So we'll have them sticking out about 2mm. There we go, that's got it. Alright, it's time to do our shower mixer. So we just want to seal in around here. It is waterproofed anyway, but the more we do, the better. And this is our cover plate that just slides over the top. This is our handle here, so there's just a screw in there and then there's a cap that hides that hole. And that's it. It's time for our toilet roll holder. Now there's a sliding door behind the wall, which you've got to be careful of. You don't want to screw anything into the door or have screws so long that it scratches the paint. So keep that in mind.
Kicking back old school tracks like damn. Can't get enough of this more like I don't even know where I am. Ooh baby get hyped to the beat, let's go cause this is our jam. This is our jam. Let's go. Let me break it down right quick for my haters, my dictators and bad raiders. Since you never seem to get it right no more, then right no more. Kick back your feet and watch your back from perpetrators. My game's strong in my Range Rover. I got the blackjack juice and my racks off the roof. And you see the SUV rolling up next to me, old enough to take you over Sesame. Remember, back when I was a kid, all I did was stroll back from the cold over South Bridge. My mama told me do no entiendo.
Now the shower head comes with this adapter. Now that threads onto this breech here. And then we use grub screws to bolt down to this, and this has got O-rings on it, which is what will stop it from leaking.
In the front row, kicking back old school tracks like damn. Can't get enough of this more like I don't even know where I am. Ooh baby get hyped to the beat, let's go cause this is our jam. This is our jam. Oh yeah. In the front row, kicking back old school tracks like damn.
Alright, so I can't find the instructions for this, which will be interesting. It's usually the case. So we want to lay out all our hardware, and then you can kind of figure out what goes where. So we've got some corner pieces, all our hardware for screwing it in, caps for the screws, the handles we'll worry about at the end, and then all these rollers. So we know each door is going to have 4 rollers on it, 2 top, 2 bottom, and there's 2 doors, so it gives us 8 there. Now I'm going to start with these corner pieces and these rails. So there's rails top and bottom, and there's holes only in one end of the rail, so I'm assuming that's where these corner pieces get screwed together. So I'll just dry fit everything and see what's left over, see if we can think our way out of this. Alright, we're back this morning. The silicone has dried. It got a bit hard to film last night with silicone all over my hands. So basically to put this together we had to silicone this top silver frame on. We put silicone along this edge here, and same on the other side. There was no obvious way to screw it to the channels that are screwed to the wall, so we just silicone them in. We've got a screw up here holding the fixed panel to the channel, and then same down here. We've just siliconed this piece of glass to the frame, which is silicone to the shower base. Now, things got a bit hairy because this shower base was too far in the wall by 5mm, which meant this piece here was 5mm too long. So we had to cut that down, but we only found that out after it was covered in silicone. So anyway, we solved that problem, and now that the silicone is set and the shower has some strength, we can hang the doors. Alright, that's it from me. I've finished everything that I was supposed to do. The bathroom's not quite finished yet though. We needed the ceiling painted and the architraves painted, but once that's done we'll come back and we'll grab some beauty shots. But for now, this is how it looks.
Three days later.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Dose. Yeah. Started from the mud, now you see us going up. Numbers never lie, now you see us blowing up. People used to front, now you see them showing up. So what's up? I've been down and out, but look, keep it a buck, I don't always been one up on all of these. They be trying to front for all of these. Man, I ain't got time cause they all in they feelings. Ice of the gang and we making a killing. It's 2020 and they notice the vision. You be the hero, I'm playing the villain. The underdogs and we walk in the building. We getting money, yeah, they think that we dealing. They talking hot, yeah, if they opponents. And we won't stop till we all touch a million. Don't ever forget, but we probably forgive them. I'm living, taking the cards that was given. My blessings is already written. Wrapped little ribbon, putting ourselves in positions to making some major decisions. Started from the mud, now you see us going up. Numbers never lie, now you see us blowing up. People used to front, now you see them showing up. So what's up? I've been down and out, but look. I'm trying to get where I'm going, but haters be trolling, that's why they thinking you got me right where you want me. I tell a ghost just duck, yeah.